and SharePoint. In this section, you'll learn about SharePoint and how to use it. We're going to look at the purpose of SharePoint, the different types of sites, lists and libraries, how you could search SharePoint, and the SharePoint Store. Now we're going to look a little bit more into SharePoint at a high-level overview. We're going to look at the SharePoint home page. We're going to look at an example of an organization's intranet, and we're going to look at navigating SharePoint. SharePoint is more than just documents. It's a holistic approach to collaboration. It's a permission-based system that is based on internet and web technology. So you could do things like create an intranet for your organization, create portals for your teams and your vendors and your clients, manage projects, create forms for your users to be able to come and fill out, whether they be internal to your organization or external. Automate your business processes with workflow. Give people a high-level view of what's going on in your organization using dashboards, and many more. So first you need to know how SharePoint is structured, and because it's based on internet and web technology, it's structured like sites. So you have collection of sites, which called a site collection, and you can have multiple site collections in your SharePoint environment. Under each site collection is sites, and in each site are pages, lists, and libraries. The pages display the data so that users can see the data. The lists and libraries hold the data, and they're places where the users can interact with the data. Even the top of the site collection is the site itself. Out of the box, SharePoint is very basic, and it could look like this, but it's also very customizable. So it can go from looking like this to looking like these examples. Now we're going to dive into this a little bit more by looking at a live example. So we're going to look at an example of an organization's intranet. But before we do, we're also going to look at the SharePoint homepage. So let's look at the SharePoint homepage. When you go to SharePoint, you can click on the App Switcher or App Launcher, click on SharePoint, or if you have the three dots, you can click on the three dots in order to open it in a new tab. When you get to SharePoint, you first land on the SharePoint homepage. On this homepage, there's a few different things. There's the frequent sites, and these are sites that you've frequently visited. There are suggested sites, and these are sites that the system recommends that you go and visit. These recommendations are based on permission, so if you don't have permission to see it, even if the system thinks that you should see it, it will not be shown here. There's also any sites that you're following. Anytime that you see a star, you can click on it, and that will make it into a site that you're following. You can also see any recent sites that you visit. Recent sites is different than frequent sites. Frequent means you went there a lot. Recent means you've gone there just recently. And then you also have your featured links. Your featured links are things that you put in. They could be links to places outside of SharePoint. They're just a list of links which you want to manage. They're just a list of links that are important to you. Now let's look at an example of an organization's intranet. I'm going to go to the home page for this organization. They're using SharePoint as their intranet. An intranet is used by organizations to share information for the whole organization. So when a person first lands on their SharePoint, they have a home page that gives information about some of the different sites that are inside of SharePoint using a slider. They also have a web part for Yammer. They have a video that they're sharing. They have their Employee of the Month and a link to that site. They have some of their videos that they feel that is important to the organization, also in a slide They have some of the important documents, like the time off policy. And they're also showing a diagram that shows the sales metrics. They also have different parts to this site where they're sharing data for their organization. Communities, different departments, sites for the employees' information, news, resources that employees can go to and use, and they also have the ability to search. There's even the Enterprise Search Center, so that when you first start off, it has one page, and when you do the search, it has additional pages to show the data. It has additional pages to show the search results. It has one for everything, one for people, one for conversations, and a page for video.